welcome back to Culinary Roleplaying and into the second part of Mythic Game Master Emulator tutorial/demo. So in the first part of this tutorial series, we took Mythic GM emulator and just created this simple kind of linear combo that can help you get started with your Oracle journey. We tried all the basic mechanics of the system. We tried how the Oracle table works. We tried to make some actions and descriptions from our meaning tables, and overall just looked into the basic method of how you can create a linear story using different oracles, and especially how to use Mythic on a base level. So if this is your first dive into the solo role-playing and you haven't seen the first part, I will leave it up there so you can ease yourself into the system, because now we will start building up directly from the ideas of the first part to see how we can utilize Mythic in a way that is more open-ended and supports more of like having multiple threads and going into this kind of more open world adventure, if you may. And let's just jump right into it. So let's do this a similar way that we did it last time. I will first introduce all the elements that we will use during this episode, and then we can again jump right into the demonstration where I can also walk you through all the hurdles that might come up with the Oracle, but there is not really that many hurdles to overcome, really. When it just gets going, it's quite smooth sailing. I can just walk you through all the processes that I will do during the adventure. The similar elements that we still have fate chart, of course, because that is the bread and butter of the system. But as you can see, we have now an additional factor, if you may, in this Oracle, and that is a chaos factor. And during your adventures, you have different level of chaos factor when you go into different scenes. And when everything is going according to your character's plans, then the chaos factor will always go down. But when things get more chaotic and the player character doesn't get what they are aiming for, or something completely unplanned happens, then the chaos factor will go up. And what mechanically chaos factor does is that when you have a high chaos factor, the probability to get a yes answer from your Oracle questions goes up quite a lot. As you can see, 50-50 odds with high chaos factor is actually 75% chance of getting a yes. And what else happens is when you have a high chaos factor, you have a higher probability to get either random event or an altered event. And how you can get those random events or altered events usually can come from two different sources. First, at the beginning of every scene, we will roll a d10. And if we roll under our chaos factor, that means a random event or an altered scene will happen. And the other way you can get random event or altered scene is when you are rolling fate questions during your adventure. And when you roll your d100 and you get doubles, meaning, for example, if we would have a chaos factor of 7 and we would roll 66. So that means our 10 die is 6 and our 1 die would be 6. So now when we roll doubles and it's under the chaos factor, that means a random event will occur. Oh, actually, let me take that back. If we roll odds, then it's altered scene, and if we roll even, then it's interrupt scene. So, what does these random events or altered scenes mean? And what is like the difference between these two? Well, altered scene is not a random event itself. Altered scene usually just means that something extra might come across during your expected scene. So your scene will, or your story will continue as it has continued thus far. Nothing like major extra event will happen, but a new character might appear. A already established character might suddenly appear into the scene. You might reduce or remove an activity. Maybe you were in a building that was on fire and suddenly like the fire evaporates, like something like that. You can increase an activity that can be the opposite, like when you are exploring this dungeon and there was like this one room that was on fire, suddenly this fire catches on into other rooms in that dungeon, for example. You can also remove an object or add an object or make 2 adjustments. So basically the idea is that the core idea of the scene is not altered in any way, but something within the scene happens or is altered somehow. So that is altered scene. An interrupt scene is basically an alteration for the whole scene, so it completely can change things that are happening. For example, here we have random event focus table. It could be a remote event, so something could happen out of the context, like there could be maybe a major coup in your hometown that you don't even know about right then and there. Like some major event could happen somewhere else. It could be ambiguous event. Something really odd happens out of nowhere. There could be completely new NPC that just arrives and basically changes the whole idea of the scene. This could mean like when there could be like a war between 2 different factions and suddenly a 3rd character appears on top of like a mountain and there is like a 3rd army and now it's this weird 3-way battle for some reason. Or it could be so massive army that the both fighting armies have to come together and try to like destroy this opposing force. There can be various effects for NPCs or even PCs. So something positive could happen to NPCs, something negative could happen to NPCs, some NPC could take some action. And then there are also move towards a threat, move away from a threat, close a threat. So these are basically also quest, mission, question altering things. Basically, you could be so close of finalizing your thread. You're trying to get this object from this abandoned castle which was fully habited by this weird monster, and you are so close of finding that object and you finally go into the final room and you are forced to move away from the thread and you see that object is not there, but there might be like a piece of a puzzle or a piece of clue that you have to go into another castle or another dungeon to get the object that you want. Or you could find a very important clue or a message. A new aspect could be introduced into the story that would actually move you towards a thread. So something that you felt like was not really relevant right now to the story suddenly becomes very relevant. Or simply close a thread. Some missions or some quests could just stop right there because of this random event. Like I said, there might be a service that you are doing for a small town, but suddenly the town is not there anymore because of invasion, or the whole town was a just big illusion. Or it could be something relating to the current context. But as you can see, interrupt scenes, they are usually like a huge diversion of the current context or from the current threat that you are pursuing. Whereas altered scene is just a minor change within the story. So in the first part, we were only focusing on one thread. And we also had the thread progress track that we could take steps in achieving that specific thread. But today we actually have multiple threads going on right now, and we also have a character list. So this could basically mean like when you are playing an open world game and you have like multiple quests, you have like your side quests that you are doing, or you have your main quest. Threads are basically like that. So you have like multiple things going on with the adventure, and any one of them could pop off suddenly, you know? There might be like some thread in the narrative that you're pursuing at the moment, but like I said, those altered scenes or those interrupt scenes could change that very quickly. And here in the adventure list, I have now some threads and some characters that are included within our context in Clore Finland. So first we have here, what is behind the spirit corruption? So in the last episode Prince Darian and Sir Oliver, who was the god who stayed, these two dived deep into this frozen cave where they were trying to find all the kidnapped citizens of Clore Finland, whose convoy were attacked in the middle of the woods. And what Prince Darian and Sir Oliver found was these citizens just frozen still in this kind of hibernated state. And within these caves was also this corrupted frost spirit creature, this ice yeti, which these two succeeded defeating. And that is the thread that we are following like right now. But for the sake of demonstration, I also added some additional threads that are happening in the island. We have Darian's big sister's upcoming wedding. This big sister is probably, should she be even the heir to the throne? Like the first in line? Yeah, let's say that. So big sister's upcoming wedding, where the future queen of Clore Finland is getting married. And I feel like this is very kind of political wedding that will secure the safety of Clore Finland, at least from some kind of threat, which we can determine maybe later. And then we have a third threat, which is threat within the Northern Heights. This big cluster of mountains in the center of the island. And I feel like there is some kind of looming threat for the whole island, and these are like places that people are like dreading to go for some reason. And that can also be something that we can determine later. But now we have like multiple things going on right now, and those things might come up during our today's adventure, or they might not. And as we saw from these altered scenes and interrupt scenes, NPCs might also have some kind of role in these alterations. And that's why we have now a list of characters that we you probably shouldn't put all the NPCs. That depends on the whole context of your story. But definitely like the more major NPCs should come into the characters list. And also keep in mind that you can put here factions as well. Like we have here royal family, we have here the hibernating people, we have the corruption, and now I will also add the threat from the Northern Heights. So yeah, quite a lot of new stuff for today's episode. But this is basically gives you the possibility to really start to like stretch out your adventure and really start to like have this multi-layered narrative. And just a pro tip, this is why when you get into this level of having like this multiple threads and multiple people, try to keep your oracle results as simple and as concise as possible. What I mean by this, whenever you are rolling like the meaning tables, or whenever you are rolling the fate chart, like just go with the most obvious option. That will help you immensely, because I promise you the story will get deep and it will get layered by its own accord. You don't have to just come up with fancy and snappy and sexy different answers and have like this, oh now the multiverse just opens up and this tentacle piece comes out of nowhere. Like no, yeah, try to keep it as much within the context as possible, because when you're keeping the baseline within the context, like tightly within the context, then you have these random events that can really, like, they will throw the story off anyway. So it's really good to keep the base focus really tight and really specific, especially now when you're starting to open up this whole thing. And here we just have like the adventure journal where we can name our adventure, and after every scene we can either up or down our chaos factor, and at the start of every scene we can roll and see if the scene is altered or even interrupted. So our first scene was basically Prince investigates the disappearance of citizens. How much you divide your scenes, it's really up to you. You could have either like very tight scenes, basically like one dungeon room could be one scene if you wish. But for me it's usually easier to think that one scene is basically like one episode of a series. So all the things you could fit into a one episode of some like Game of Thrones or something like that could be maybe one scene for me. So that means like quite a lot can happen, but there are still a lot of possibilities for these alterations to happen. And you could make it as simple as like every session is a one scene for you if you want. But like I said, many different variations. Some people really like to have very well divided scenes and which are snappy and don't take much time, and some people like to have some longer scenes that are basically like one session of a game. And that is all the extra things from our oracles today. But now when I'm looking at this, and I was wondering, like, I really want to show you how you can make the random scenes or altered scenes, and I don't want to leave that to fate. We can actually now use and apply the knowledge we have gained from our first part. What we will do is that we will create a keyed scene, which will be called a random event. The trigger for this event is if a scene alteration has not happened after 5 oracle questions, then this will trigger, and what it will create an interrupt scene. So this will make sure that even if the randomization doesn't provide us today an altered scene or an interrupt scene, we will have that anyway, so you guys can see how I'm deciding to go with the scene. So you have at least some example, and I think that is maybe the biggest extra thing for today, so it would be really nice to have that example. So that's how we can actually use the Mythic's own mechanics to create the situation. There you go. It was a good thing that we learned that keyed scene last episode, right? I think that is all from the Oracle. And also I decided to change the game system that we are gonna use, because I really want to show you guys how the Mythic works with different game systems, so you can have a better grasp on how it plays with other systems. Because the idea of Mythic is that you can just take it and plug it into different systems. So what we are going to use today is basic role-playing. And basic role-playing is really, I know it looks a lot when you look at the character sheet, but it's really dead simple system. It's a skill-based system just like Savage Worlds. The only difference is that now we actually have skills with percentages. If I want to stealth my way through and I need to make a stealth roll, here you go, stealth roll with 50% chance. And just like with Mythic, you will roll your D100, and if you get under the score, it's a yes, so you succeed, and if you roll over, it's no. So this system works really well with the Mythic because you are rolling D100 with the skills as well. It's really modular. You have many varied levels of play. You have like a gritty realism if you want it. You have a heroic fantasy if you want it. And you can make it as complex or as simple as you want. There are many optional rules with the basic role playing, but in its core it's really simple. And I also really enjoy the power system. It's very similar to Savage Worlds, and you can basically make any ability a skill that uses your power points. which is basically like one of your attributes or characteristics in this game. And one extra idea for you for this system, because the powers are basically like superpowers or mutant powers or magic in this system, but it doesn't have to be. You can just make powers as maybe techniques, like I have done with Sir Oliver over here. That's the picture of Sir Oliver, by the way. So what I did, I just basically decided that the base characteristic for this kind of combat techniques is dexterity or strength. And with cross slash, which is this special ability that Sir Oliver can use, I used strength. And then during character creation, you can just add the percentages that you have to use in different skills. You can put them into powers. What cross slash basically does is that you will pay its cost in power points and you try to make an attack with this. And if you succeed, you get 1 extra d6 to your sword attack, or you can try to hit 2 different targets. So yeah, very, very simple to do different abilities and powers if you want to have like these kind of custom abilities for your characters. So I'm not going to dive any deeper on basic role-playing right now because this is a Mythic video, but leave a comment down below if you want to see how it plays demonstration video of basic role-playing, where we will dive a little bit more deeper into the game system itself. And now let's dive deeper into the adventure in Glorfinland with Prince Darion and Sir Oliver. I think few days have passed since Prince Darion and Sir Oliver found the hibernated citizens from this frozen cave with the frozen spirit within the deep woods. Yeah, the Lonely Mountain. It's not called Lonely Mountain, but the only mountain in here in the middle of the forest. Right now, where I would want this next scene to start is back in Streefire, the main capital of Glorfinland. And I would say that Prince is right now within the Royal Library, studying and trying to find any answers, solutions, or previous experience about this very strange corruption and maybe even a curse that has been put upon these citizens. And that is basically the base of our second scene. But now we have to test the scene and see if something is changed. So I have put chaos factor now down to 4 because last time we basically got everything that Prince intended to do. Prince intended to find the citizens, and yeah, and that was the idea, and Prince even succeeded in slaying the beast, even though the citizens were frozen, but the intention of finding the citizens did happen. So that's why I lowered the chaos factor down to 4. So first now let's see if an altered scene or even interruption scene will happen. We roll a d10. 0, that means 10, so not right now, there won't be any interruption scenes or any altered scenes. Prince is in the back of the library, reading furiously on different tomes about different myths and legends of the island. And will the Prince come across anything? We could first off roll a research check or investigation check for the Prince in order to determine which is the probability that Prince will actually find anything. So Prince's research is only 25, not that much, because we don't have any extra skills. Oh, that was Oliver's. Here we have the Prince's. So Prince actually has a little bit of research. So let's see, we have to roll under 33 to succeed. And that is 87, so no. And I would narrate this, that this means that there is no evident research or any, Prince doesn't find anything anything at all about like the curse or people getting hibernated, people going into hibernated states. He is just baffled. And I think even like Sir Oliver is coming to meet the prince within the library and even might bring him some warm drink or something like that, and probably even asks from the prince, "Any luck, prince?" And prince is just tired from all the research and reading, and it's like, oh no, nothing, absolutely nothing. There is no record of anything like this happening before. Is this place the only place to search for these things? Even though Streetfire is like the capital of the island, maybe the main library or the biggest ounce of knowledge is somewhere else. Maybe either Suncot or Skybreeze. Or even Brightgate. There are 3 possibilities. So, because Salmon Farm, I think it's just a fishing village, like the name would suggest. So let's count Salmon Farm out for now. But Brightgate, Suncot and Skybreeze all sound places that could have like this huge library of knowledge. So definitely let's ask that from the Oracle. I'm using the mid-chaos fate chart, so there are many different varied levels. There is also low chaos fate chart, there is high chaos fate chart, which is basically like the odds will change through every chaos factor level. But I like to use mid-chaos fate chart because then you don't have to jump around between columns all of the time. I would say that it's likely that at least one of these 3 different towns has like a bigger library, which is basically the mecca of knowledge within this island. We don't know if even that place has any information, but the likelihood of bigger place being here is likely. Answer is 33. The answer is yes, and now we have an altered scene. Yeah, we have an altered scene, so scene alteration happens. The answer is yes. And now we can roll for scene adjustments. This was perfect example. So let's see what happens. 6. Add an object. Okay. So what happens is the prince is still scanning through all the books that he has taken to the table. There's like 10 of them, like a big pile of books right next to him. And the Oliver just asks, any luck from the prince? And prince says, no, there's nothing, absolutely nothing in here. I think we need to go into Skybreeze. That is the biggest library. There has to be something there. And Oliver just says, that is fine, prince. I will come with you. We'll figure this out together. Thanks, Oliver. You're the best. Okay, let's just get going. And prince basically like tries to lean on the pile of books by accident, and he kind of stumbles back a little bit, so that this whole book tower basically like collapses into the floor and like. But then also Prince and Oliver can hear this cling, this odd clinging noise. Oliver and Darian both look at each other. Darian lifts one of the books up, and now, the book is really like hefty tome, and the covers of the book are quite thick, and it's basically like a leather bound. And now when they look at the book, there is like a small, like the leather from the book like rises up a little bit, like there would be something under the binding. And Darian looks at Oliver and asks, do you have a knife? And Oliver picks up his knife and gives it to Darian. Darian lifts the book into the table and cuts into the leather and into the cover of the book. And a key, a hidden key. What's this then? Oliver watches the key, confusion, and looks the name of the book. Let's roll the name of the book. So in the first part we only use the action and the description tables from Mythic GME But when you are a little bit more comfortable with the system, there are many tables behind the book. There are spell effects, there are starship descriptors, there are sounds, terrain descriptors, lots of tables, lots of different tables that you can use. So I thought that we could take the Legends table over here and see what the name of the book is. 33. Evil. 39. Evil and Fear. Evil and Fear. The book's name is The Evils Within Our Nightmares. So now we have an extra thread. We have the Evils Within Our Nightmares key as well. It might be related to the main story or it might not be related to the main story. We don't know yet. But Prince Darien inspects the key and can see like this kind of very darkened, almost like a rusty key that doesn't look anything like he has seen before. And he looks at the cover of the book. The Evils Within Our Nightmares. Well, doesn't that sound just lovely? And Oliver's saying like, well, that is certainly interesting, but do you think it will help us right now? Darien will say to Sir Oliver like, I don't know, but at least I'm done here. There is nothing for us here. We should definitely head to Skybreeze in order for us to find some more information. Very well, Prince. Shall we leave immediately? Shall I ready the horses? Please do. We shall go immediately. So, an altered scene happened, but I would love to show you guys an interrupted scene as well. So that's why I'm still keeping count on how many oracle questions we have. So then you can have like examples of both. I don't think there's nothing else to it. Prince and Sir Oliver will ride and take their time and get into Skybreeze. I feel like my idea of distances within the island is that if you want to walk somewhere, that's probably going to take you 1 hour per 1 hex. If you have horses, you can go twice the distance. And if you use roads and you are in a hurry, you might go even faster. And I would say with horses, you can go even 3 hexes per hour. So that would mean 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it's almost 3 hours that Darien and Oliver will take that they get into the Skybreeze. I think Skybreeze is Lore Finland's base of knowledge and learning. This is the place where people go to learn different professions, to possibly learn magic, and I would think that Prince has spent quite a lot of time in here. Like we established in the first episode, Prince knows how to use magic and he's had a lot of free time because he is only fourth in line. So yeah, definitely there is like nothing extra that is expected of him. So that's why he has spent a lot of time like trying to just learn different skills and abilities and spells. So Prince is very familiar with Skybreeze, and I think he is very familiar with people within Skybreeze as well. So both Oliver and Darien ride into Skybreeze, and I think they head straight into the Grand Library of Skybreeze. Is Prince received well within the Skybreeze and within the Grand Library of Skybreeze? I think it's likely. We don't know what kind of nuisance the Prince has been during his studies, but I feel like Prince wants to study. So I think it's likely that Prince is received well. 94! That is extreme now. So I think straight off the bat when Prince like walks in with Oliver, even within the reception there is some kind of like older, wiser looking individual, and it's like, no, get Get out of here right now, Prince! You have no place in here anymore. Not after the last stunt you pulled. And I think Prince is something like, hey, come on, it has been so long. Can't you just forget it? I said I'm sorry. You destroyed 9 generations worth of books with your lightning tricks. But you said I couldn't take the book outside, and I needed it for my practice. So what would you want me to do then? Like the rest of us, take notes. Actually, speaking of notes, we would like to do some research of this corruption that has been happening. Have you heard of it? I fail to see how that is my problem. And you are still and always will be banned from the library. Oh, this is really bad situation for the prince. Can we do something? Alright, we have status. Because we are a prince. Should we try to do a status check to see like if we can uprank this librarian, the keeper of lore? Yeah, let's just try to uprank. Don't you know that I'm the prince? Okay, let's see what happens. 26. So we definitely succeed upranking the librarian. Well, isn't that unfortunate? So if I am banned from this library, maybe all the money from the royal treasury that supports this establishment is banned as well. Well, this is going to be really difficult for you guys, especially when the winter is coming. Well, take care then. And Prince just starts to like take steps back and just says to Oliver, Oliver, let's take our leave. And you can see the smoke coming out of the librarians, the keeper of lore's like ears. And you can hear in this silent library-like hall the grinding of the teeth. But still, you can hear, wait! And Prince slowly turns and looks with a smirk on his face. You have 1 hour. And I think Prince will only take a bow and just say, Oliver, let's go. They will go into the library. Well, I was wondering if Prince could find any help in here, but I think it's pretty clear that nobody is gonna help the prince with his research. So we can make a research roll again within this library. So we are taking our time at the library, so it's going to be an easy task roll. An easy task roll means that we can just double our skill level in order for us to succeed. I just realized that we have 1 hour of time. But will they actually... I would say they will kick us out. We only have 1 hour time, so we cannot take time right now. But I will say, because Oliver is helping the prince, I will give the prince 10% of better chance. Just because Oliver is there to help pick up different books. Because Oliver can definitely read, but is not maybe that much of a research pal. But he can fetch books to Prince and all that kind of stuff. So definitely Prince will get a 10% benefit for this role. Let's see what happens. 68. So the research fails again. Because the research fails and we don't have much time. Let's see if we can at least find something. But it's very unlikely that we'll find anything. Because we don't have time or we failed our roll. So let's see. Do we find some clues of this mysterious corruption? 47 means no. Let's add that into our counter. But Prince does not find anything from the library. And after the hour, when Prince is still like trying to look through the books, I think he realizes that there is not much time left. Maybe he takes one book. He just takes one book, like that he couldn't finish reading, and just takes it and puts it in his bag, and now can see how the Keeper of Lore is like looking very angrily and expecting both of them to leave. With that, they are escorted out of the location. Not much luck here either, it seems. Oliver, I think we have to go back. We have to go back into the cave. That's the only way we can find the source of this corruption. But Prince, it will be dangerous. We don't know if the spirit creatures are back, and we don't have any weapons to battle this corruption yet. We don't have any knowledge. What should we do? Let's think about this. Unfortunately, there is nothing to think about. The longer we wait, people in that corruption will suffer, and the higher possibility that they will never get out of that hibernation and they will die. And I don't want that. It's starting to get late. We should at least ride back to Streetfire and sleep for the night. And maybe you can even check that book that I hope you borrowed it, right? Yeah, sure, of course I borrowed it. I would never in my life think about stealing from anyone, not even from them. I will keep you on to that promise. But anyway, let's just head back home and try to figure this out before we go. And if we don't find anything from that book, then we just ride and make some more investigation. But carefully, okay? Of course, Oliver, of course. Lead the way. And they will take again few hours back into Streetfire, and it starts to be really late. And Prince goes back to the castle, into his room, and does some late night studying of the book. Let's see what the book is all about. Let's take actions. 71. Punish. 19. Punish defense. Punish defense. So it is a book about curses, I would say. Is it something magical? Is it magic related? 50-50. I would say even it's likely, because Prince was looking for specific books. So is it magic related? 47. It is. Let's add third count in. So Prince indeed found one book about different curses, and Prince finds this section about elemental curses, but I don't think there is like any knowledge about this kind of curses that will make people hibernate. Usually the curses are like very minimal, and they only affect like an area or an aspect of its targets. It's not like this kind of holistic deep slumber curses. There are a few deep slumber curses, and that actually is like, that is the thing. For instance, like slumber curses. Maybe it's not an elemental curse. Maybe I have thought about this all wrong, and starts to look at the book. And is there anything about kind of sleeping curses? Let's say 50-50. 59. Not right now. So there are things about sleeping curses, but not in the specific book. There is nothing like the frozen sleep curse. Okay. After all these thoughts and reading the book, Prince realizes that we have to go back. We have to go back into the cave. That's the only way. I need more information about the curse. And I think that is the end of a scene. because it would feel like very fitting that the scene would end there. This would be a fitting place to end tutorial, but we haven't had the random event yet. But I think this is a perfect time, so I will now break the rules for now, and I will trigger the event, and I will also break the rules that I will choose what kind of event focus we will have, and I will make it a remote event. And why I'm making it a remote event is because now when we are basically like, you can feel the camera zooming out from the prince's castle, and now we can get this kind of extra scene, remote event that is happening somewhere that the prince doesn't know. And we can roll first now to see which is the focus thread for this remote event. 7. The evils within our nightmare's key. Oh no. The prince started to sleep. Oh no. I think while we see that the prince is going into sleep and start to lie down in his bed, and while the camera zooms out, we can see that the key starts to glow in this purple darkish light. The key basically starts to float, and we can see above Prince's head this kind of small thread rising up, and there is a keyhole, and the key flows into this thread of dreams, and the key goes in, and it turns, and there we will leave our episode for today. It was remote event, and it basically became like a current context event, but like, do what you want with it. Like, don't be too strict on yourself. If you have a great idea when Fred gives you this kind of layup to have a slam dunk, go for it. Like, this is everything is for you. Just remember that. Don't be hard on yourself. If you find something fun, break the rules, like I did now. I didn't even go at the end because I felt like it's more fun for show how the things work for you now, and I felt like this was the perfect place to stop the adventure for now. Like, follow your instincts. These are just here to help you out. Go with it, flow with it. And now at the end of the adventure, I would say we will rise chaos factor to 5, because Prince definitely did not get what he intended. He didn't find any information about anything, and now frankly is getting attacked by this cursed key for some reason. And I think that is a place we can continue our third part. Hopefully this was helpful to you as well. Leave again comments and questions down below if you have any questions about the system. Or hi, it's me. So my battery died from my camera before I get to finish, but I just still wanted to say thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions or ideas or comments, leave them down below. I'm really invested in this story right now of Prince Darian and Sir Oliver, so it remains to be seen if I should just keep going and make a playthrough out of this adventure, because I'm really excited to know what happens next. But definitely we are still gonna have the third episode where we go deeper into the idea of playing an established adventure using the mechanics from the Mythic GM emulator. We are gonna use the keyed scenes again and other new aspects as well. And I will also leave Affiliated links down below if you want to support the channel. And the biggest way you can support the channel right now is to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out any of my videos. That's all from me today. It's moro moro, and I hope that I see you next time.